What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to High School Never Ends, a pop punk dad podcast. I am Wingman Steve.
And I am Chris 183.
And Chris is so excited because we're going to talk Pittsburgh. We're not only going to talk Pittsburgh today, we're going to talk Pittsburgh all month of June. Our theme for June is the Road to Four Chord Music Festival because Chris loves Four Chord and he recruited me. I went to my first one last year, and we are going to blow it up all month. We're going to talk to people involved with Four Chord, bands that are playing. Maybe we're just going to talk about albums. But Chris, we have a very special guest for this first one. I'll let you give him an introduction.
Yeah, I don't think we could have really kicked things off any better than how we're doing it today. So without further ado, we brought on the man, the brainchild, the one individual that started all of this. I believe he's going to tell us about it, but welcome to the show, Rishi. It's awesome to have you on High School Never Ends.
Well, thank you very much. I am flattered and I am honored and I am excited and I love talking about Pittsburgh and I can't wait to do it.
We talk about Pittsburgh a lot, and we go back. We talk to a lot of bands from Pittsburgh, and then I'm in the Philly area, so we talk to a lot of bands from Philly. And one thing that seems to be in common over the last, it's more than 11 years. It's almost 11. It's going to be 11 festivals, but there's been so many bands that have played the Four Chord Music Festival. And I mentioned I went for the first time last year, and I got to see a band that I had heard of and listened to a few times, but saw them for the first time, and they were called Eternal Boy. And have you ever heard of this band?
They suck. They're terrible. Lead singer's tall, awkward looking, kind of looks like a cartoon character, smells like shit. You know, the usual.
I got that same impression after watching the set. It's crazy.
No, yeah. Eternal Boy is a big investment of my time amongst a few of the large things. But we do play every year Four Chord because when you spend a lot of money to put on a fest, if you don't put your own band on it, then I don't know what you're thinking.
Wait a minute, you spend money? I thought this was like a charitable endeavor for the punk and emo kids of Pittsburgh.
Most people think that it should be free. I should book all their favorite bands, and it should cost them nothing, and I should lose all the money on their behest.
Well, I was glad to pay the price of admission to go. And Chris, you're more of an alumni than me. I mean, this is your spot.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about that in detail. I have so many questions about that, but before we do, why don't we talk a little bit about Eternal Boy first? And I just want to know, Rishi, why did you decide to make music? Why get into a band? Why do this?
It's a great question. I question that every day of my life as to why we do it. It's certainly a labor of love. We started years ago when I was in high school. We had a different lineup when we were called the Space Pimps for many, many years. Got stuck with that name early on and never really changed it. I was always, we've always had, there's a lot of close calls in the history of Eternal Boy and the Space Pimps. And, I always put my flag in the sand and always said, we're never going to change the name. Like, this is bullshit. Fuck you, record label A, B, or C, or booking agent. Like, it's cool. But we originally started it all honestly, by probably the way most bands do, is just through the community that punk rock built for me. I got into music through my sister. I have an older sister that used to listen to Blink and listen to a lot of the older punk bands. And I just got hooked. I don't know what it is. It's a bit of a drug. It's a bit of a love potion that you can't seem to get rid of. But there was something about the melodicness of pop punk and punk rock, but the aggression and then the subculture. It was this dichotomy of things that I couldn't really get enough of. And I to this day, I still really can't get enough of. And I think, me and my best friend from high school, Jared, we started the band together. We went to a strict private high school in Pittsburgh and kind of didn't really fit in. I was the kid with red hair, wearing a coat and tie. And, there was a bunch of trust fund babies and then us. And it felt really natural to kind of buck the trend. So we started the band and we did it covering Blink songs and Newfound Glory songs. And, it kind of picked up more than I think we ever imagined. We kind of won this battle of the bands in Pittsburgh of like all these bands, and we were like, oh, cool, like maybe we're not as shitty as everybody in our high school tells us we are. And then we started just kind of making friends in the scene. We really got a lot of guidance from a Pittsburgh legendary band called Punchline that kind of paved the way for many bands of that era. And so we just kind of kept doing it. We didn't really think much of it. We started playing out of Pittsburgh. We went from Pittsburgh to Youngstown, Ohio. And then we went from Youngstown to like Morgantown, West Virginia. And then before we knew it, we were touring the United States on the Warped Tour. We toured all over the world. We went to Japan and China and Canada and Europe. And it just started out of that same thing. I think why you guys started this podcast, probably, right? It's this it's eternally youthful, no pun intended, the genre, and it kind of always, holds a special place for all of us. I think music places, quote unquote, like it places us in a time and a moment. And even when I hear, So Long Astoria by the Ataris, it brings me back to a place in time. And I think that is something that is timeless. And that's kind of why I'm still in my late 30s doing it, because it's something that I can't get enough of. I'm never satiated enough from it.
Dude, that was fantastic.
One more question, Steve, before you get into it. And I have a follow-up to that, too.
I just had a stupid question, though. It's not going to make a lot of sense.
Oh, okay,
Please.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, emulating, loving Blink from are you the Mark or are you the Tom?
Oh, yeah. I'm a Mark. I'm a Mark.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Fair.
Cerebral, good looking, probably good in bed, that one.
Same here. Sorry, Chris.
I'm the Tom guy, Rishi. So whatever. I guess the opposite of those things. Is
harsh,
where I get into.
brazen,
terrible in bed.
So speaking of that, actually, I just got done reading the Mark Hoppus book, and
amazing.
It really was. I couldn't stop reading it, and he talks about that period, that time, that moment in time, or that one thing that was the reason that they went from that garage band to where they are today. There was I think it was some sort of booking agent or a guy or an agent of some kind that really just kind of started pushing things forward for them, making calls, got them those out of town gigs, that sort of thing. What was that for you guys? How did you start to go? How did you go from Youngstown to Japan?
It's really funny. I love that. I could not put that book down either. I mean, being a fan, it was really good. I just think that it's different for everybody. And for us, it was like a slow burn. It still has been a slow burn for years, and a lot of bands don't have the patience, I think, or the lifestyles to be able to adapt to like make it a priority. So I think it was a slow burn for us. I think I realized, there was a moment in time we had this song the Spaceman's wrote called "Tell Me Why" that was like I don't know, like I wrote it when I was 17 and I just thought it was a really good love song. It was a really good pop punk song. And then I think whenever that got released and like people listened to it and felt a particular way about it, I was like, shit, like is this can I do this again? Is this something that like people are seeing the same way that I see it? And it's not like we're like, first of all, we're no Blink, we're certainly baby, light years behind that. But I think that was one moment. And the second moment was when we got an email or at the time it was MySpace we were using. And we got a message in our MySpace inbox from a dude from Japan. Again, this goes back to the Japan thing where it was like, and you can imagine like phishing emails today. It was like, hey, my name is so-and-so. I run a record label in Japan and I want to sign the Space Pimps. And I was like, no fucking way is that true. And we went through with it. His name is Masa. I still know him today. We still talk to him today. I still talk to him today. And it turned out to be the biggest independent record label in Japan. And at that point I was like, all right, this, I think I was 19 when that happened. And I was like, okay, well, this is pretty cool. And at 20 years old, we went to Japan for the first time. We toured with the Swellers, Mad Caddies, H2O. I mean, it was just that moment was like, okay, this might be something that we could kind of figure out.
Yeah, we've chatted with a couple of bands that have said that basically the scene in Japan is just absolutely insane. So the dudes in Punchline. who else was it? I think it was Houston Calls went to Japan. Homegrown Adam Lorbach was saying how they had such a great time over there. So it's got to be cool to go over there and play and to hear people in a different language like singing your songs and get into it. And it builds this whole thing, it's hard for people who are rooted in the US to even really understand the international music scene. I don't really get it. I still have not been to a show overseas. That's kind of like a bucket list thing that I need to take care of. But I'm sure that helped kind of propel you guys and just give you that fuel to keep doing it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's awesome that all those dudes were, first of all, everybody you named are idols of mine. Houston Calls played Four Chord 2 years ago. Love that record. Punchline are our torch bearers for the Pittsburgh music scene. Homegrown is one of my favorite bands of all time. But it was so funny. The way I try to describe it is that Japan, at least then, it's changed now a little bit. It's like 8 years behind or 5 years behind. So we were in Japan, and I remember I'm exaggerating this a little bit, but this is generally how it was. Like, we were playing at a club, and across the street, Lagwagon was playing 2 nights in a row at a 4,000 cap venue, sold out both nights in advance. I love Lagwagon, but it's different there than it is here. So it certainly has a cool flair and a cool vibrato that we don't have as much in the United States.
Mm-hmm. And so give me a timeline here, because I can kind of go back and see what's available under Eternal Boy on Spotify. Is any of that stuff, was it renamed from Space Pimps, or is everything is Space Pimps available? Is it on there?
Yeah. So great question again. The Space Pimps were separate, but we released a record in 2014 called Eternal Boy. So the idea was, we went through some lineup changes, and it seemed like it was very apropos for that at that moment to make the shift. And we didn't want to totally abandon people that knew it, the Space Pimps. So we thought it would be smart to take the album name, which I loved, and make it the band name. And so there's a cookie trail to that. The Space Pimps discography, I think, is available on all the streaming. Although I don't know how it got up there, but it's all there.
You're not getting paid for that?
Somebody is. I've still not figured that out. It's an enigma. I don't quite know where that is. I will figure it out one day. But then the Eternal Boy stuff is in 2017 is when we became Eternal Boy. So we were a long time with the Space Pimps. And I'm very proud of those days. And I think that was kind of the foundation that was built in bedrock for me and bands and kind of figuring it all out. And that's the Space Pimps.
Gotcha.
You think that first album that you guys made as Eternal Boy is your favorite, or do you not have a favorite?
I was thinking about. I was watching a lot of podcasts, and bands are talking about, what's your favorite record? Obviously, I think every record we release is good. All of them are good. I can't pick one. We just released a new one this past July that I think is phenomenal. Of course, we wrote it. That's called Little Room to Breathe. We released one during the pandemic that was a big clusterfuck that we're supposed to have this big release thing called Bad Days Are Over that I thought was probably the weakest, but still good. And then the one we released before that, the first record we released under Eternal Boy, was called Awkward Phase, which I love. So that's kind of the nutshell of our discography.
Yeah, I would say the one thing that stood out to me, again, from attending Four Chord last year for the first time, is just that seeing you guys live, it's just a whole lot of fun. You have a good time on stage. You said something like "We're no Blink," but you kind of, you give off that energy, like you're up there, you're having a good time, you're playing, fast-paced punk rock songs. You throw in that Taylor Swift cover was great to get the crowd into it, even if they didn't know the band. I thought it was great energy, and I could see how people would see you live, going back to that, DIY punk scene where you see a band live and you're like, I'm a fan now and I get into it and I want to see them again.
That's very nice of you. I appreciate that. It's very difficult for us to play Four Chord. It's a very, our drummer Mike is one of the production coordinators for the festival. I'm putting on the festival. It's so it's always very difficult to have to get up there and play when you're navigating through weather and people getting hurt and lawsuits and bands. Yeah, it's just very hectic. So that's very kind of you to say.
You
Again,
guys have
we don't-
experienced weather? What? No, no, you haven't.
Easy.
Ooh, it's. I have a little bit of PTSD from weather these days, but yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It's Eternal Boy is meant to not take ourselves too seriously. In the name, it's from a Latin term named puer aeternus, which is kind of like Peter Pan complex, which ironically was the original name of the song "What's My Age Again" by Blink, not on purpose. And so it's if we're not having fun, I don't know what we're doing. So that's kind of at the forefront.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
and I think you can hear that in the music too, and that's, I think that what really goes back to my original question, and how you guys went from Youngstown to Japan. I appreciate your answer, but I think a lot of it has to do with the music too. You guys put out a great product. It's music people like to listen to, and you can tell when you see, again, like Steve said, when you see you guys live, you can tell people do. But I mean, even me for the first time, I didn't really know who Eternal Boy was. And I like what I heard the first time. And that's really tough that's not always the case with a lot of bands. So, it's cool to have that. And it's cool to have bands that are out there. And you guys tour outside of Chord, right? I know.
Oh, yeah.
You said before, but like still in 2025, you're still touring. Okay.
Yeah. We do what we can. Again, as you get older, it gets harder and harder. But
sure.
We still. We did almost a full U.S. tour with Boing for Soup last year when our record came out in July. We just got off the road with a band who I think is an amazing band on the rise called Millington, who's a ska band from upstate New York. We tour with a band that I now manage called Driveways from Boston.
Oh yeah.
We've toured. We just got off the road with Alien Ant Farm, which was a fucking ride.
Nice.
And then we're going to Europe. We're going to the UK at the end of this month to do a tour. And then we're about to announce a Midwest East Coast tour for the beginning of August in the next couple of weeks. So we are active, very active. Thankfully, we've chosen lifestyles and jobs that make it conducive for us to be able to balance it all, which is convenient. But yes, we definitely play a lot, I think, more than the normal bands of our level.
Cool.
Except for Keep Flying Band, man. We're hoping to talk to them, and I looked at their tour schedule and I was like, you guys don't have a day off for like a month and a half. I don't want to give anything away. I want to hear you guys have fun. I think we should play an Eternal Boy song. If you wouldn't mind queuing us up, tell us the song, a little bit of background.
Sure, yeah. So this song is off our new record called Little Room to Breathe. It's called Version of Myself. I love this song. It's probably one of my favorite songs off the record. It's kind of like growing up and realizing, what the real, true version of what you are is, and that it's okay to be weird. It's okay to fuck up. It's okay to not be perfect, despite what the world tells you.
All right, here we go. Version of Myself.
Time when it was just you and I wasn't scared to call you. Night in the car, yeah, I still got the scar from where you dropped me out. You said, I know it hurts to say goodbye. You make me feel empty inside. How can you love me when you can't even love yourself? There's no one around. I burn every bridge I build. There's no going back, facing all of my guilt. Why? my guilt. Why can't we just go back in time and relive both our lives from the start? This is the version of myself that I hate, but I just can't replace who I am. Never again. This is the version of myself that I hate. Myself that I hate. This is the version. Why can't we just go back in time and relive both our lives from the start? This is the version of myself that I hate, but I just can't replace who I am. Never again.
Dude, that song is a banger.
Oh, thank you.
There's so much going on in it, and the thing I love about I don't know if you think of pop punk as a negative term. Some people don't like the term pop punk. Chris Fafalios hates pop punk, that term, but dude, just all the things that you love about it, like back in the day, you got like your double time drums, you got these heartfelt lyrics, the slow down kind of on the bridge, and like a harder with the bass, dude, the harmonies and those alternating lyrics kind of at the end. And I love it when bands like I'm in my early 40s, so I'm no spring chicken or anything like that, but I still love the same kind of music, and I love when I hear songs that give me that same sentiment, but it's not all just, like poo poo caca, my girlfriend takes me home when I'm too drunk to drive. It gets a little bit more adult because unfortunately I'm a fucking adult now, and you guys hit it out of the park with that one.
I really appreciate that very much. Pop punk is not a curse word to me. It was a curse word for many years for us growing up in the emo world and then the neon punk world. It was like, oh, pop punk it's never been a curse word for me. It has never been a negative term for me. It is something I'll wear with pride, and I always will. So I appreciate it.
I love that. And it sounds good too. Like pop punk just sounds good. And it's a nostalgia for me. Like you guys bring out that nostalgia, but it still sounds new. And the richness of the song, I think, moves away from anything that you would consider like bubblegum pop punk. And I know that some people love that too, but I like something a little bit deeper. And I think you guys have that sound. I can't wait to hear this one live.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate you, even taking the time to think about it that much.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with having a 6 glass of wine on a Tuesday night, by the way. I pulled that lyric out of a different song, but
that's correct.
For some reason, that one, I was like, wait a second, maybe I've had 6 glasses of wine on a Tuesday night. I don't know. It's okay.
And that's why I'm talking so positively about Eternal Boy. I'm on my 7th glass of wine right now.
You are not slurring your words at all. You are wearing it like a champion.
Oh, rad.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say that a segue there. Speaking of seeing it live, there is this festival that we were talking about, and maybe we could talk about it now, called the 4 Chord Music Festival. Rishi, are you familiar with that one?
A little bit. Unfortunately, I'm a little too familiar with it at times.
I could just picture you and your drummer like on stage playing, and you have like an earpiece or a headset in, and someone's like, oh, this guy won't come out of his trailer. The porta potty fucking is flooding. Like all this crazy shit that's going on, and you're trying to entertain a crowd. It's got to be nuts.
It's happened before. Maybe not that specific. Maybe a little more serious than that. But yes, it's happened.
Hopefully everybody's okay.
Yeah.
So look, I know, and I was thinking about this for a while, a couple days, oh man, I bet he's been asked this a million times. I don't care. I need to know from you to me, were you just sitting there one day, like with the band thinking, you know what, we need to do something. Like there is no festival. There is no collection of pop punk bands like there used to be, like the Warped Tour, like any of that that's going on. It's just not happening. We need to do something, and we need to do it now. Today in the year of 2019, 2018, 2017, whatever year started, you can tell me.
Yeah.
But Did that happen, or was it a different story?
Yeah, I think so the first Four Chord was 2014. It was at what was the original venue was called Metropole, which was a venue in Pittsburgh that was like a 1,500 cap room. And I honestly, it was a really kind of bad time for pop punk, in my opinion. We're at the tail end of like the Set Your Goals, Wonder Years, world, which gave it a bit of a shot of life. After that kind of what I call the really dark days, which was like V-necks and bright colored pink V-necks and Forever the Sickest Kids. No, sorry to say it out loud, but bands that I didn't see eye to eye on, and a lot of tours weren't happening. Bands like Yellow Card and the big torchbearers of the scene were kind of going on hiatuses, and we were getting, at the time, the Space Pimps were getting passed on a lot of tours we were submitting for. It was harder to get on festivals were non-existent then, other than the Warped Tour, really, and Riot Fest and Lollapalooza and some of the big ones. And so I was like, maybe we should just do something real DIY. And ironically enough, very an unfortunate irony at this point, the first person to ever give a chance, I had to do a lot of convincing. Me and my best friend from high school, who's an attorney now, does all the legal work for Four Chord. We were sitting in his apartment, and we put an offer to the Wonder Years. I put an offer to the Wonder Years, and I got a phone call from a guy named, rest in peace, Dave Shapiro, who passed away a couple of weeks ago in a plane crash in San Diego. He called me and said, "Hey, man, I don't know much about you. I don't know if this is really a good choice for my client, but I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to take a chance on you." And he gave us the Wonder Years. And once we got that, our first year was the Wonder Years, Real Friends, Modern Baseball Turnover. It was I didn't even mean to, but it was kind of like a time machine. Or not a time machine, but a time capsule.
Yeah, that's a who's who of 2014 for sure.
Yeah. So really, it was created out of wanting more opportunity for, at the time, the Space Pimps and now Eternal Boy. And it's certainly evolved out of that. So it was I at the time I cashed in a lot of the money that I had and put the down payments down and made it work. Barely made it work. Barely was above water that year, believe it or not. Learned a lot through that first probably 3 years. Learned the most I could have ever imagined the first 3 years. And then I realized scalability, and I said, well, if I made $5,000 on a 1,500 cap room, if we do it at 100,000, then I'm going to make this, So realizing very quickly that scalability in the music industry does not work commensurately in that manner. But it just learned a lot over the years. And that first, I'll never forget that first year. And again, Dave Shapiro was the guy that gave that chance. And I'll never, ever, ever take for granted that opportunity he gave, because it wouldn't happen without that risk-taking mentality that, if anybody knows Dave, that is him in his personal life anyway, and he took a chance on me, and I appreciate it. So that's how the first year started.
That's awesome. And it seems like it's hard to even pinpoint a year and say, so when the announcement came out this year, Chris and I were talking, we're like, we haven't seen what's going on with Four Chord. Like last year it was a little earlier in the summer. Other years it's a little later. It's in the fall. And we're like, what's going on here? And I think the first thing that happened was the dates were set out, and it was like, big announcement coming tomorrow or the next day or something like that. And I see the date and I say to Chris, I'm like, yo, Blink is playing in Jersey on Sunday. Like, this is gonna fucking happen, dude. Because like for me and Chris to like see Blink together, I think we both seen them but separately, would be totally awesome. And so I kind of like saw the writing on the wall that this could potentially be happening. And
wait a minute. I told you that I bet you it's Blink.
Yeah, you
not do that.
Yeah, he said I think it might be Blink, but I did put the pieces together and see that they happen to be playing in Jersey on the next day. So geographically, it was possible.
I'll give you that.
So combined premonition there. My question is just when this announcement came out, because again, every year it's not like this is, I don't know if I want to say this is the absolute biggest one ever, because when you look back at the bands that you've had, I mean, the bills have just been incredible. But when you kind of take a look at, Blink-182, Alkaline Trio, AFI, Jimmy Eat World, the whole thing, I'd want to know what was your cell phone and your email like the day of that announcement?
So in 2020, March of 2020, March 2020, great year for the whole world, right?
Oh yeah,
great year,
great time.
Yeah. So March, I think it was March 6th or 7th, we announced Four Chord in 2020, and that was Blink. So Blink was the headliner in 2020. Go on sale on a Wednesday, announce and go on sale Wednesday through Monday, and then on Tuesday the world shut down. We rescheduled for 2021. This is now like May 2020. We rescheduled for 2021. We get to 2021 2 months before the festival. Mark has cancer. And so that was the first iteration. Then, Blink comes back full with Tom, and then they're in a Live Nation deal that they can't play in other festivals. And this is the first year that they're out of it. And that was a big day to get Blink again. This is for anybody that knows me, knows that it starts and stops with Blink. Like, I'm not going to turn my camera around. I know this is audio only for the public, but I'm not going to turn my camera around and show you my office here. I mean, it's a homage to Blink. I've been a fan for a long time. I would say I'm the biggest Blink-182 fan from 2009 prior. And this was a huge win, for me and for Four Chord. And again, I think Four Chord is a community for everybody here. And yeah, my phone blew up a lot. A lot of people were shocked that there were a lot of people in the industry that told me I could never do it. In 2017, I made a very light stab at getting Blink, and I was told by a big promoting company that happens to be the largest concert promotion company on planet Earth, told me that I would never be able to do this. It would be way too out of my the ability for an indie like us. So I feel very proud that we pulled it off, and it's not pulled off yet. Let's be real. I mean, after what happened in 2020, we've got to make sure that everything goes off, and there's weather. As you know, there's a whole deluge. But very proud of it. If Four Chord never happened again from this point on, I achieved what it is that I wanted to achieve. Not to say that it won't continue, but I just think that there's nothing more I wanted than to get my favorite band of all time. So,
do you think Four Chord continues to get bigger every year? Do you think is that the outlook?
That's a great question. I just don't know how it can. I mean, financially, it's starting to get a little irresponsible on my part, to be honest with you. It's a very, very fiscally taxing, mentally taxing, physically taxing endeavor. And let's be totally real. Pittsburgh is not an A market, right? It's not a New York, Chicago, Las Vegas. It's not a destination spot. It's not a one flight to Boston Calling, Shaky Knees in Atlanta, Riot Fest in Chicago when we were young in Vegas, Aftershock in Sacramento, Northern California. Like, it's just not that kind of spot. So really, I don't know how much more it could grow. I mean, I'm always about growth. I'm about calculated growth, but I kind of do this 50% because it's in my blood and I love it. And I love music and I love community, and what the punk scene in Pittsburgh and beyond has done for me is immeasurable. It's innumerable, what it did for me. And 50% of it, of course, is a financial thing that I have to consider, but I like to say, yes, it will grow, but I don't quite know. Every year is different, and we'll see how it goes.
I think the community aspect of it is really cool. And I mentioned last year was the first one that I went to, and it was at a different venue. But, when you go to festivals, you don't necessarily know what to expect. I've been a Warped Tour a million times when I was in high school and college and stuff like that. And, sometimes there are crowds because it's so big that, get a little iffy and you're not exactly sure. But I mean, Pittsburgh is just I don't know, the people who were at that festival were just, everybody was really cool. It was a dusty thing, but people were like looking out for each other. And, when somebody falls in the pit, the bands like stop, make sure everybody's okay. It really just had that type of vibe that like, that is kind of like a little family in those 2 days.
Yeah, you won't find a person on this planet, all my friends, like outside of Pittsburgh when we tour, like, the guys in Driveways are from Boston. Like, I always mess around with them all the time. Like, I'm the biggest advocate for Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh.
I think all so Pittsburgh people are big advocates for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but it's you're right. But there's a I was trying to think of the right way, and I can never come up with the words. But there is something very special about the aura of Pittsburgh. It's a big enough city for you to get that vibe, but it's also not big enough that it's unattainable, and you feel like you're just like one of a billion. But to speak to the venue thing too, right? I mean, last year was a bit of a mess. That was that was very tough. A lot of challenges that were not known until we started putting a stage down in a field in 110-degree weather. And people were troopers with it. And that's why we aren't going back, because they deserve better.
But you guys did the right thing. You know, when you saw that it was going to be 110 degrees, you got extra water stations and put out, like, on social media, like, make sure that you're hydrated. You changed the policy for, I think, the bags and the water bottles to allow for people to bring something in that was refillable. So, I mean, you looked out for the people that were there. The elements are out of your control.
It is, I mean, I think a lot of people would disagree. I mean, according to some of the customer service stuff that gets sent to me, there's a lot
I read some of that shit. It was funny.
It was funny. I mean, there's a lot. I always say one day, like, I'm going to start, because on the side or outside of music, I'm a college professor, and I get the craziest like excuses for not coming to class. I'm going to start a website anonymously that posts all of these excuses and all the ridiculous customer service email questions. It'd be the most entertaining thing ever. No, but I agree. I mean, we did what we could. I mean, like, weather is weather, and we could have done it a little better. And I learned a lot from that. Every year, it's like a new thing. Western PA in June, the hottest heat index in the history of Allegheny County of Pittsburgh. Like, then the next day you get 2 inches of rain in a 2-hour interval. It's just like everything gets tested and tested. But I am perfectly cognizant of, like, what went wrong last year with the venue and the dust, and that was sold to me as a venue, and it was not a venue. It's an open field, so that's why we decided to go back. We've had a great experience with EQT Park. Now it was formerly called Wild Things Park, which is a venue. It's got infrastructure. It's got, the whole nine. So I'm glad to go back there. I wish we were closer to Pittsburgh. That's kind of why that risk happened. Like, I was like, every venue in Pittsburgh is owned or operated by AEG or Live Nation, who won't, it's a non-starter. They won't even answer a phone call from me.
Right.
Or it doesn't exist. The venue doesn't exist. So I wish we were closer, and that's why we ended up trying it at the Carry to see how it would go. But I'm very glad it's back at a real venue.
Chris,
I didn't mind. Look, I liked the setting of Carry Furnace. I just thought it was a cool, like, Pittsburgh setting. You had the huge structure behind you, and then you had the bands. I get what you're saying, but I also can say that, I people know I live in Pittsburgh, so I don't mind traveling to Washington for this. It's kind of like it's a fun trip. It's only about 45 minutes or so to get there. 40 minutes, less than that for me. I know it may be more for others, but it's cool to drive down there and make it be an event, and that's what it is. It's an event. It's an all-day event, and it's a 2-day event. So,
yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. I mean, it's again, the we get along great with the people there, the owners and the GMs and everybody that work there. So we're gonna do our best to make it. We got some changes this year because we got a bigger stage this year. So we're gonna have to kind of change the layout a little bit. And we have a lot of really cool activations with partners and stuff we're doing with local artists and vendors and food and all sorts of stuff. So I'm really excited to get it out there and get going. But there's a lot of time between now and then. So I hope everything goes smoothly. Knocking on wood.
Outside of this year, did you ever get starstruck from a band that you booked for the 4-chord?
I gotta say, man, I don't get starstruck very often. I met Blink a couple times when I was younger. I won 2 years in a row. Our local radio station, for those that don't know, is called 105.90X. And when I was in high school, I called and won 2 years in a row. At the time, we had like your modem phone and like I had like 4 phones called in. I won backstage passes on the X 2 years in a row. So I did get starstruck then when I was like 16. I probably will get starstruck for this year. Other than that, absolutely not. None. It's just, there's so much to do, and you get a bit of a window into bands that sometimes they always say that you should never meet your heroes. For a multiplicity of reasons. But we've been very lucky. Most of the bands have been very cool, other than one band from 2019 who we don't mention. And you can do some searching on the internet to find out what that is. But Otherwise, it's really honestly, bands are not there's nothing that would make me say, oh man, I can't believe they're like this. Everybody's been really cool. But I hope to meet Mark, Tom, and Travis. I hope we can have a conversation. I hope I can let them know, what it means to me that they're playing this festival, whether they wanted to or not. And I just really hope I get the opportunity to somehow verbalize that in a meaningful way that kind of sticks with them. I know I'll probably pull that thing you do and say, I'm your, or what does he say? He goes,
you're my biggest fan.
Yes. So
that's okay.
We'll see.
Chris, I was going to say, Rishi's very entrepreneurial. I wouldn't be surprised if he built his own venue.
I was going to say that was in my head.
Future.
You read my mind.
We're going to put these ideas in his head, and he's going to build the perfect.
You might as
venue.
well. There's plenty of fields. I mean, just look around. You get into.
You let me know. Anybody out there, of an open field, you let me know. I've been looking for years.
And an architect. I got a couple of questions about booking and
Sure.
Because I don't know anything about this entire world, and I'm somewhat fascinated by it as just a fan of a lot of these bands that you've booked. So first off, I'll give you two back-to-back questions, and I'll let you kind of answer. So first off, I'm curious: how conscious are you of the split usually between day one and day two? Because it's not an exact science by any means, but it usually does seem like there's a little bit of like harder bands on one day and kind of a little bit more of the pop punkier bands on another day. And then my second question is that I know that you love the old school like drive-through records era of music, which we do too. Just looking at previous four chords, it seems that it's a theme that somebody is kind of getting booked who's like not a super active band, but they're like maybe a little bit active. And it seems like you kind of, at least the last couple of years, I see Homegrown this year. I see Houston Calls. I saw Alistair, like these bands that you're like, I need to pick somebody out that people are just going to be psyched to see because they just don't see them that much. So I'll shut up and let you answer for a second.
No, dude, you guys are very assertive here. That's absolutely correct. So for the first question, there's certainly I guess what I'm realizing over the years is that like, if you do two of the exact same days, you'll get the same crowd kind of buying 2-day tickets and they want to see both days. If you deviate it a little bit, it kind of helps the branding to some degree. So you are correct. Last year, A Day to Remember, we had A Day to Remember. Before that tour was even announced, as a matter of fact, there was a whole dilemma where one of the bands leaked the lineup accidentally last year, which was a whole clusterfuck. But A Day to Remember kind of represented the first time we kind of leaned a little more into the like screamo world mixed with pop punk, which is a good introduction. And then the next day was very, very more of a popular pop punk music, like with Something Incorporated and All American Rejects and so on and so forth. That is correct assertion. And this year actually was not supposed to be, the second day was not supposed to be what it was. It was supposed to be this kind of, I was going to take a risk on a metalcore and like a metal tour that happened. It was, I think it already got announced. It was like I Prevail and Beartooth and Parkway Drive. And I was going to take a chance, and guess Dave Shapiro was the agent that sold me on that, ironically enough. But it ended up not happening because of routing. So this year I wanted to go back to what I love more, which is more of the punk route of pop punk, which is why, we kind of brought the AFI. I mean, Jawbreaker is one of my all-time, without Jawbreaker, there wouldn't be Blink. I remember watching the Urethra Chronicles documentary, the second one, and in the background on their bus, they're listening to a song off Dear You by Jawbreaker, which got me into Jawbreaker and so on and so. So you are correct in that. There needs to be a little bit of a difference. I'd like to lean more punk on one of the days because it's what I love. But certainly for sustainability, that might have to change over the years. And then the second question was about, what was the second? The bands. That's correct. Starting in 2022, actually it was 2020 and 21 at first. I had the Ataris on the first iteration of Four Chord, who was So Long a Story is my favorite record ever written of all time by the Ataris. It's my favorite album ever written. And so I had them, and then 2022 was Alistair. We became friends with Alistair, my top 3 favorite drive-through records band. 2023 was Houston Calls. Again, love that band. The drummer of Houston Calls, actually the drummer of a band called May as well, MAE. They could not be any cooler. I love them. And then
Tom
last
Kiger
year,
might be the nicest human being on the planet.
dude. Yeah, I can concur. I concur with that. And then last year, what it was something, I guess something corporate would fall into that category for that band ish. I mean, they did a reunion. And then this year, Homegrown is one of my favorite. Kings of Pop is just, I mean, there's songs on that record that are just game changing for me as a kid. So
I just saw them 2 weeks ago.
And you went to Cali?
So it was funny. I happened to take a work trip to California every year during the middle of May. And when they announced that they're doing like two, at the time, it was only like 1 or 2 shows for the entire year. The dates overlapped. And I was like, hell yeah, like there's no way I can not go to this. It was awesome. And I happened to have to go to pee during the opener at the exact right time. And Adam Lorbach is walking down the middle of the aisle and I gave him a big hug because he's been on the show, said hello, took a picture. And they just fucking killed it. So I cannot wait to see them. It was a smaller club, so I can't wait to see them in like the 4-chord setting.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's awesome. I was contemplating. So you mean the most recent one where they played like 2 weeks ago, or do you mean like when they first came back?
No, 2 weeks ago.
Show?
2 weeks ago,
dude. Yeah. That I was contemplating trying to figure out a way to get to that show. This is something special about that Kings of Pop record. There's just something about that record, that is again talking about music placing you. I tried getting Homegrown multiple times. Maybe I didn't try as hard as I did this year. So that is. There's always like a me band. In 2023, also Mest played, who we ended up becoming very close with. And I tell the story all the time. I told this on stage at 4-chord when Tony from Mest was watching Eternal Boy. In high school, we told our entire private high school that the song Cadillac was by us, and it was our song. And so we would cover it all the time, and people would be like, "Oh, like yeah." I have like people like even like more recently from high school, be like, "Dude, like whatever happened to that hit song you guys wrote called Cadillac?" And I'm like, "Oh God." So yeah, and I've been, there's a lot of bands I've been trying to get that I don't want to divulge yet, but like for future years that I think fit that kind of 1 or 2 bands that's kind of for me, if that makes sense.
Love that.
Yeah, Dr. Records changed my life. So there's going to be a really sick merch design that I'll probably get sued for doing because I get sued for everything I do at 4-chord this year that has to do with that. So
save one for us so it doesn't sell out.
Those shirts do sell out. If you're going to this show, make sure you get one early because they do sell out. I can attest to that. So
we'll make sure you guys get what you need. So don't worry about them selling out for you guys.
Appreciate that. So
can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, can we kind of flip the switch here and flip the script here if it's cool?
Yeah.
So obviously the podcast name, right? So you guys are Bowling for Soup people?
So basically, yes, we are Bowling for Soup people. However, the name of the podcast was just kind of, it was just inspired, right? Like we started this when we were in our like mid 30s and we like pop punk and we're growing up. And I think just the theme and the sentiment around this whole high school never ends is just, I mean, it's just totally true. And yeah, finally, after a couple of years, we finally talked to Jarrett Reddick and I was like, hey, Jarrett, we named our show High School Never Ends. Does that piss you off? Or are you like, is that endearing to you? And he's like, no, dude, I love it. I think he called it possibly the best song and the best lyrics that he ever wrote. And it was, he was happy that we called it that.
Was he on the podcast?
Yeah, we had him on. Yeah.
Dude, how Jarrett is, I don't say this often because like when you're a band of our size, like you grind and you work your way and you do whatever you can to survive. There have been 2 or maybe 3 people of real industry people that have helped Eternal Boy. And Jarrett is one of those people. And I will forever be grateful for Jarrett and for Gary and for Chris and for Rob. Rob was in a band called Patent Pending for a long time. We are very close friends. We've toured. Patent Pending are our bestest friends in the world. And I just am so forever grateful for Jarrett and Rob and Gary and Chris and the whole Bowling for Soup people. I just want to make sure that I can get on a mountain and scream it.
Yeah, Rob came on and talked to us at a different episode as well. And we've seen him live a bunch of times. And I don't know, we sat down and talked to Jarrett. And honestly, it was like immediately we were just like in somebody's backyard having beers, talking to our buds. Like, he was just the chillest dude.
We even talked
He's
about
the best.
beers. We even talked about the types of beers that he likes versus
did.
the ones that we do.
Yes.
So,
Oh man.
very cool. I guess my only other question is, I've started my first 4 chord was 7, I believe. So that was
Oh wow.
Rise Again. So the Used.
Yeah.
So I went there because I really, really wanted to see. I'd never seen the Used before. I'd never seen State Champs. And I could not believe the Used, that show that they put on that year was, I can't even describe. Like, it was amazing. It was just
Yeah.
amazing. And State Champs, I mean, it kind of just reaffirmed my love for that band, seeing them live. I mean, they put on an awesome show, and they've been there since then, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
so that was my first year, and the lineup since then have been amazing. I guess, and this isn't another one of those your favorite question. It's more of, is there a band or bands that you have on your wish list? Like, do you have bands that you're looking forward to in the future, potentially getting on a bill?
Great. Yeah, another good question. I think about that all the time. There hasn't really been a band that like I haven't reached out to. Obviously Blink is the band for me. I say this, I've said this jokingly since the first year of 4 chord, and I say it jokingly every year, but I guess the more that it grows, maybe the more maybe it becomes a reality. Maybe there's a pivot in some atmosphere where we get Taylor Swift. I know I'm joking, kind of.
Dude, that would
But
be
I'm also-
really cool. And I bet this entire audience would dig a 1 hour set from Taylor Swift. Not a fucking 3.5 Eras tour,
Yeah,
but like
yeah,
an hour. And you have all these different, because, the Blink dudes are friends with her. And I bet you she loves all this music. She's kind of said it. So you have her go and do a set, and you have fucking Tony from Mest and Jarrett hop up there and do Bad Blood. Like, some Taylor songs. That would be sick. Sorry to interrupt.
Dude, no, you're not interrupted, bro. I think about that all the time. I have wet dreams every night thinking about stuff like that. It's something that I've always joked around about. I don't think it's possible. She doesn't do festival. I mean, that's logistically that. But like in terms of like in this genre, I mean, it's really tough to think about. I was thinking about this last night. It's like, where do I really go from here? I don't. In terms of like headliners, I think that nothing comes to mind. There are a ton of bands that
Forever
I'd
the
love
Sickest
to get.
Kids?
I'll pass on that, but I'm sure that it will work out for another festival, maybe the V-Neck Fest that they're going to host. Wow, maybe we should cut that one out. I don't know. Anyway, I really love one of my favorite bands of all time is a band called Rufio.
Oh, dude, I see that. I see the Rufio right behind you.
Oh yeah, I know. It's so I've been trying to get Rufio. It seems like there's just no interest in general for them to do it.
They're not active, I don't think, right?
They're not. I get the vibe like he doesn't really want to do the Rufio thing anymore for whatever reason. It's there. Totally respect the choice. But I'm pretty persuasive. Scott Sellers, lead singer Rufio, if you're listening to this. I'd love to get Rufio. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. I'd love to do years ago, I jokingly with my friends said, we should just buy the drive-through back catalog. Let's just do it. So I contacted the Rhines, Richard and Stephanie Rains, or the owners of the, and we talked for a little bit. Not possible. Obviously, I don't have money. Doesn't grow on trees here at the household. But I really want to do like a drive-through record stage because
cool.
One of the first Warped Tours I went to was the drive-through record stage, which ended up being created through the drive-through records DVD, which I played through as a kid. I'm sure we all did here,
I was at that Warped Tour. That was great. I lost my contact lens in the starting line mosh pit. I wore a bandana over one eye like I was fucking Tupac because I couldn't see.
Dude, was that Long Island Warped?
Yeah. And you know what? Again, I'm not trying to drum up any PTSD, but like the dustiness of 4 chord last year was I was just getting the vibes. That's exactly what Long Island Warped Tour, Randall's Island is just a complete dead field. So every single mosh pit, there was just a mushroom cloud of dust. And when you walked out, you pulled your sock down and you can see a brown line and you blow your nose and it's gross. Like I was used to it. I was like, wow.
The difference is that dust at the Kerry Furnace was from a steel mill from the 1930s through the 1970s. So that's a little different, but it certainly brings
And I'm old as fuck now, so my lungs are a lot worse.
So that kind of dust is actually better for you. It puts hair on your chest. It's a steel town. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'd love to do, I'd love to get Rancid one day. I love Rancid. I've tried a few times. They were on the Green Day tour one year and it didn't work out. I'd love to get Rufio. I'd love to do Drive Through Record Stage. I'd love to get Finch. I'd love to get the starting line back again. They're my favorite. My Say It Like You Mean It's my top 5 favorite record of all, ever created. Every single year since 2015, I've put an offer in for Newfound Glory, and it's never worked out. Again, self-titled record changed my life. It's my top 5. Again, I remember the moment I got it, how I listened to it, where I listened to it the first time. So I'd love to get Newfound. I'd love to get Rancid. I'd love to get Rufio. I'd love to get Finch. And that's about it. Those are the 4 that I personally like. Now, obviously, where to go from here is a question that I will ponder from now until the next 4 chord happens, if it does.
And you could always mix. Look, you had Rise Against, and they're not necessarily. I mean, would you consider Rise Against a punk band? Like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Right?
I think they're more. I mean, they're a versatile band. They can go into a Rancid. They can go into a fucking Nickelback, and it'll work out. So I think that they're pretty diverse.
That's what I mean. It opens the door to different bands like that could be mixed in as well. So
definitely.
Good stuff. Do
you guys have suggestions?
You took the one already. It was Finch. That was I need to see that. I've never seen them live, so that's like you got my money if we can get.
So
Finch
when you were in Pittsburgh growing up, did you go to shows like back when we were younger?
Not really, not a ton.
Wow. Right. So you didn't hang out at Club Laga, or you didn't hang out at Metropole, or you didn't hang out at Mr. Smalls when it first opened and stuff like that. This is like a newer thing that you're getting into.
No, I did. I mean, so my brother was in a band. I went down there a lot to see him. And, I saw bands. Absolutely. Like I saw Goldfinger probably about 2 or 3 times at Metropole. And I saw bands, Real Big Fish. Like, there was definitely a mixture of that. But I didn't see a ton of shows. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha. I was at those shows, those Goldfinger shows in Metropole too. Those were great.
Did you? Okay.
Alistair opened up one of them. Big Blue Monkey opened up one of them, which ended up becoming the band's Story of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at two of those Goldfinger shows.
The opening band when I went was Two Skinny Jays. Does that ring a bell?
I saw them open for somebody a long time ago too. I think it was 311 and Incubus. So different crowd.
Two Skinny Jays. Never even heard of them.
I have the CD. I'll give it to you at the 4 Chord Music Festival. You can listen to it.
Please do.
I thought it was okay at the time. I don't know, but love Goldfinger. Yeah, I saw them a lot. But yeah, no. I love the music. I listened to it all throughout the 2000s and the teens. I just didn't go to a lot of shows. And
right,
it's funny that there were so many shows in Pittsburgh, and I missed out on a lot of that. And I'm sorry. So I'm trying to catch up on that now. And you're helping me do that. So that's why I appreciate
anything for you guys. Anything.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you. My request would be a band called Ludo. Nobody really knows them. They're a weird indie alt rock band from St. Louis, Missouri, and they're fucking amazing. And they play like one time every year in St. Louis. If we're just, suggestion boxing it, then I'll throw that in there. Otherwise,
Ludo.
Go ahead.
Ludo. There was a band from Pittsburgh a good friend of mine was in called The Morning Light. And The Morning Light did a whole U.S. tour with Ludo. They were in Fearless. So I know a lot about Ludo.
They are great. And otherwise, I 100% back your idea of drive-through themed event because everybody loves those bands and that era. And that record label was the only record label that I really cared about and got into. Maybe a few others a little bit, but at that point in time, in those like late 90s, early 2000s, Phoenix TX, bring them in. That would be fantastic. Sorry, we're treating you like you're a jukebox, and we're gonna drum up the next 4 chords.
One, Steve, one band, one.
I kept going. My bad.
There's a good. I think Drive Through obviously was huge, but Vagrant Records was another one that was really the Alkaline Trio, the Face to Face, who's playing 4 chord this year too. A little lean more punk and emo, but we're really great. I think the Drive Through world is definitely where I got my introduction to this stuff.
Have you had Hawthorne Heights on a bill?
We did. We had them in 2016. It was Mayday Parade, Dangerous Summer, Hawthorne Heights, Punchline, a few other ones.
Wish I'd have caught wind of it just a couple years earlier. But that actually brings me to our last segment. So this is where we kind of wrap things up. Rishi, we call this segment Ranking It. So, we normally, if we talk about an album, we rank our top 3, whatever. but this time around, so I think the most appropriate way to do this, and if you do not want to do this, I completely understand. You could say so, but I would love if you could somehow figure out a way to rank your top 3 favorite 4-chord music festivals. Can you do that?
Definitely can do that. I'm scared to rank this year as my favorite because it has not happened yet. So I'm going to take that out of the equation.
Okay.
My favorite 4-chord was 4-chord 4. 4-chord 4 was the biggest year we had at that point. The Starting Line and State Champs, the Dangerous Summer, Punchline, Hit the Lights played. That was the first year that I got a band that I loved. Right. So I love the Starting Line. I love Say It Like You Mean It. I love Based on a True Story. I think that band is so criminally underrated in the scene, though they're probably rated appropriately to the public. I think they're grossly underrated. So that is my favorite 4-chord. My second favorite 4-chord, I will say, was 2021, which was Rise Against the Used. I'm not a huge Rise Against fan, but the vibe blew me away. It was the first year we had grown. It was post-pandemic. There was a sentiment in the air that people were really excited to be doing music, being back at it. I thought that was great. And I was blown away by the band Real Friends that year. They had a new lead singer. They just got a new lead singer.
They switched.
Yeah, and I was blown away. And I think my third favorite 4-chord probably was there's like so much like I associate good and bad with so many different things because like some of the lineups were great, but like I'm traumatized by situation X, or situation Y. I'm gonna go 4-chord 5. That the headliners were Less Than Jake and Bayside for that one. Less Than Jake's one of my favorite bands of all time. I absolutely love them. They were as cool as I wanted them to be, as you ever would have imagined them to be, as nice and awesome as they could be. So 4-chord 4 with the Starting Line, 4-chord 7 with Rise Against the Used, and then 4-chord 5 with Less Than Jake and Bayside.
Yes, bring Bayside back, please.
Love them.
I gotta throw in an extra rank in it because you've talked about it so much, and I just gotta know your top 3 drive-through records albums. I mean,
yeah,
it seems like it would be a hard thing, but I kind of get the impression that you're ready to rattle this off, and you got it,
bro. I dream about this. I think about this. I think about this every day of my life, dude. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so number 1 is Say It Like You Mean It by the Starting Line. There is some dispute here, right? So Dashboard Confessionals, Swiss Army Romance came out on drive-thru for a second, and then there was a big issue with Vagrant. So I'm going to exclude that. I think that record's fucking phenomenal. So I'm going to go Say It Like You Mean It by the Star. Are we talking about subsidiaries too with Rushmore Records? And I mean,
whatever you feel is appropriate. There's no scribe here, keeping you honest. Nobody's suing you or anything like that.
Okay, yet. All right, so Starting Line, Say It Like You Mean It. Alistair, Last Stop Suburbia, Homegrown Kings of Pop.
Yeah, there cannot be a lot of complaints.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Finch, What Is to Burn, unbelievable. Newfound Glory, self-titled when it was on drive-thru, then it upstreamed, mid-record to MCA. That record's it's one of my favorite records of all time. But I'm going to put those 3 as like the heart of the real drive-thru records.
I think my top would also be Say It Like You Mean It, no doubt.
I mean, the record is fucking a work of art.
I think I've seen Starting Line more than any other band, just because I am lucky enough to live in the Philadelphia area. So every year they do a holiday show, either in Philly or Jersey. So I've seen them just so many times, and it's great. I had an awkward experience with Kenny the last time. That was fun, but
you share.
It was our buddy Steve Kelly, who you might know from Port Maria. He we had some beers, and we found Kenny outside the back of the venue, and I think what Steve really wanted to kind of say was like, hey Kenny, the new stuff that you guys have put out, the 3-song EP that was just a few years ago, and they played a couple new songs, like the new stuff is just so good, and you're continuing to evolve better. And it what kind of came out was like, hey, you should play some new shit. Like it just didn't come out right, and Kenny was like, okay, nice to see you guys, and we're like, all right, just see you later. So it was slightly awkward for us.
That's shit happens. Shit happens.
It was all good. Thank you for your rankings. That was super awesome. So tell people where to follow all your things. Obviously, Eternal Boy is, I don't know if you guys are working on anything new, or you mentioned that a tour is in the process of going to be announced soon.
Yeah.
Tickets, I know that, there's a few tickets left.
Yeah. So we've got Eternal Boy. We have a record that came out this past late summer, which is going on almost 8 months now. It's called Little Room to Breathe. Go stream it. EternalBoyMusic.com has all of our tour dates. We're going to UK in June. We've got a tour we're announcing in August, for August, very soon. Then we got Four Chord, and then Four Chord available. GA tickets are available. FourChordMusicFest.com. If you want to complain and tell me what band I didn't book that I should have, you can hit me up at IEatMyOwnScat.com. I'm kidding. No. You can
GoFuckYourself.org.
No. I'm kidding. I eventually see all the stuff. But FourChordMusicFest.com, September 13th, 14th, Western PA, Blink 182, Jimmy Eat World, Hot Mulligan, Bowling for Soup, State Champs, AFI, Jawbreaker, Alkaline Trio, Face to Face, Say Anything, The Wonder Years, Knuckle Puck, Homegrown. There she is. There it is. So
in case you needed a reference.
Yeah. So we are 100% independent. We have no affiliation with certain entities that we won't speak of. And it's really important to support independence. It's really important to support those that are concert goers like yourself, because that's what I am. I go to more concerts than anybody that I know, and I hope to see you guys there. And you guys are welcome. We'll roll the red carpet out for you guys.
We have our tickets. We're ready to go. We bought them the day they went on. Chris, when
that was the first one, I think.
That first day where it was all of a sudden like, hey, tickets are on sale. Me and Chris got tickets within 2 minutes of each other. The pre-sale, little bit cheaper tickets. The like get them real early. We were on our email. We got them. We're in.
Nothing could stand my way.
Well, we will. We have like a little media thing that we do with care packages. We will make sure you guys get one of those care packages, because we appreciate the support. As little or as large, everybody is the same. Independence and podcasts like this are awesome. And I can't thank you enough for having me on it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thank you everybody out there to listen to the show today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the first episode of the road to Four Chord. We are on our way. We kicked it off strong today with Rishi, but keep listening. Definitely have some more awesome stuff in store as we move towards that September date that we talked about earlier. For all you guys that are fans of the show, we have a shop. We have a website. We're on Spotify and iTunes. Check us out there. Give us a 5-star review and a written review. Both of those things help the show. I mentioned the website, www.hsnepod.com. That's going to link you to our shop, where you can find some really cool things like High School Never Ends mugs, High School Never Ends shirts, and more.
Rishi, I made custom T-shirts for Chris and I last year, because Chris is not the biggest New Found Glory fan, so I made him a shirt. My shirt said Chris 183 loves New Found Glory, and I'm not the biggest Weezer fan, but he is. So I wore a shirt that said Wingman Steve loves Weezer. So maybe we'll have custom shirts again available.
Maybe I'll have a say in them this year. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a surprise. It wasn't I wasn't trying to pull something over your eyes. I just wanted to surprise you. But
no, it's appreciated.
You guys are cute. You guys are real cute.
We're so cute. We made a lot of friends at the show. It was fun.
Love it.
If you're not following us on the socials, make sure to do that at HSNEPod, like High School Never Ends Pod. We also do have a Patreon, patreon.com/HSNEPod, where you can get bonus episodes. Thank you to our patrons, Nick, Punkish Dad, Tom, Ashley, Jason, Jeff, and Sam. And we're going to continue our road to Four Chord Music Festival. So tune in next week with a new episode. Until then, keep on rocking your dad bod, stir up your rock hands, and blast the pop punk.
Dragon Wagon.